with arrogance from too much adulation, had seemed like the perfect escape. Not only had she agreed, she'd encouraged him. The party teemed with beautiful women years younger than her, each one decked in a skimpy outfit and stilettos, with hair all silky and swishy, trying to snag the attention of the bevy of professional football players in attendance. Rory, 34 years old, with runaway curls and a vintage cocktail dress that now lay in a black tulle puddle on the hotel room floor, had been the outlier, and yet Vader had singled her out. She vaguely remembered he'd had a quarterback's build, tall and broad-shouldered. His asshole arrogance and slicked-back hair should have sent her running. Instead, they had somehow signaled "do me" to her impaired brain. Now here she was, alone in a strange hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning, her stomach churning with self-disgust from having sex with a stranger who possessed every quality she most disliked and was almost certainly married. Groaning, she staggered to the bathroom, held her hair back from her face, and threw up. She rinsed her mouth and splashed her face with water, all the while trying not to look at the wreck in the mirror, but looking all the same, taking in the mascara smudges under her eyes, leftover smear of bright red lipstick, and eruption of unleashed curls around her head. At least it was still dark. She could sneak out of the hotel and hope she didn't run into anyone. Her hands were clumsy, her head throbbing, and it took forever to get her clothes back on. She snatched up the red satin evening bag that was all she had left of her mother. "Are you proud of me, Mom?" and headed for the door. But just as she reached it, she spotted something lying on the desk. Something that shouldn't have been there. 5 $100 bills. He thought she was a sex worker. The party was winding down. The caterers had left, along with the bartender, but 3 couples and a few strays remained in the suite. Brett Rivers's most important client, Clint Garrett, sat alone on the couch, his head in his hands. Brett had arranged tonight's party ostensibly to celebrate Clint's birthday, but in reality to restore their relationship, which had hit an unexpected speed bump thanks to a slight error on Brett's part. Brett wasn't used to making mistakes. Mistakes were for losers. But then so were regrets. Winners fixed what they'd gotten wrong and came out stronger. Brett calculated how to approach another conversation. Clint was normally a dream client, smart and talented, with a sterling character and a passing arm that put him in the same league as Robillard, Tucker, Brady, and Manning. Signing him as a client had placed Brett in position to move up to senior vice president, second in command, at Champion Sports Management. Things had been going perfectly, until Brett had tried to warn Clint that his current girlfriend was only after his money. Brett was always right about people. It was built into his DNA. But this time, he'd gotten it wrong. Not only had he seriously misjudged Ashley Hart's character, but he'd underestimated the depth of Clint's feelings. He'd tried to retreat, but his accusatory words had been said, and Clint hadn't forgiven him, not even after Ashley dumped him. Brett had talked trash about the woman he loved. Brett hated being wrong. It went against everything he knew to be true about himself, everything he'd built his career on. Now he had to fix the damage. The balcony doors opened, and Darius Beal, a veteran Chicago Stars offensive lineman, appeared, his arm wrapped around a beautiful brunette with mile-long legs.
"What's up, man?"
Darius cocked a thumb at Brett.
"Layla, this is my personal barracuda, Brett Rivers, best agent in the NFL.
Brett smiled at Layla, fairly sure she wasn't the same woman the lineman had arrived with.
"It's easy to do good work when you have the great Darius Beal for a client."
Darius grinned.
"See what I told you? The river, man. He runs swift and deep, fast and furious, no mercy. The guy is ruthless. Where you been hiding yourself, dude?" "I had some business to take care of."
No need for his client to know Brett's business involved an oddball woman with a round face, baby doll cheeks, and crazy honey blonde curls. The city's exclusive escort services offered more variety these days. The lady didn't fit the escort mold, with the exception of that bright crimson mouth and lacy black garter belt. She was no 20-year-old working her way through college.